this is Scott Sheeler. Welcome to our College Radio Ohio podcast, episode 2. In this podcast, we're going to discuss the Anchor app and how it can be used in your classroom and your school. Podcasts are an audio medium that allow you to kind of tell a story, right? You might tell a story for entertainment or to display knowledge or to call for action of something that needs to be called for action for, right? So just like video, just like when we're writing text, it is another way to get your message across and to tell a story. In many formats of podcasts, you can subscribe to them. So that way, with a podcast sort of app, you can then get a notification or it automatically goes into your list of podcasts that you should be listening to. This is really convenient to make sure that you have people that know when your podcasts are out if they're interested in hearing every single one. The College Radio Ohio podcast right now is just hosted in YouTube on our channel. But maybe in the future we move it, but right now it works where it is there. And that's possible for anyone to do it that way as well. You could just put it anywhere as long as you know where it is. I guess that's the important part, as well as your listeners. Your listeners also need to know where it is. You might remember, actually, 2 years ago, we did a video on podcasting, and we gave some resources on how to do it, as well as maybe what you can listen to. We decided to add another one because, honestly, this app is very exciting to me, and we think that it could be something that could add a lot of value to your school. All right, so what is the Anchor app? The Anchor app is a great app that allows you to record your audio and essentially make a station out of it. And if you choose, you could take any audio that you have, and the audio could be something that you just record from your phone locally, maybe with a microphone or headphones. You could add music interludes that they allow you to add, just to add some sort of space inside of your audio podcast. You could actually interview someone, meaning that you could actually take a telephone number of someone and call them, and it will automatically record it for you. And also, you could also do call-ins, sort of a voicemail box that people are saying, hey, here's my audio. You could use this in your podcast or on your station. So the term station is used in Anchor because a station is almost like Snapchat, that you could put anything on your station and it will actually disappear from the public after 24 hours. Or when you always have access to it. Or you could choose to add it to a podcast and make it permanent. And what's really nice also is that the app will also allow you to add a podcast to the Apple Podcast Store or the Google Play Music Store. And so it will actually help you go through the process and get it approved so that way people of different devices can listen to your podcast as well. Another thing from their website you could do, because their website is very full-featured as well, is you could actually just load your audio straight from there. For example, this one, which I'm hosting both on our College Radio Ohio YouTube channel, as well as on the Anchor app, I'm just going to load it in after I kind of do some editing and stuff that way. So that might be a way that you could also use it, even if you don't want it to be kind of an instant, really easy podcast. So let me tell you about my experience with this podcast so far. One, it's really easy. So I made a podcast up called A Walk to Misremember. And really what the concept of the podcast was, is I literally recorded myself using my phone and my earpods. And I essentially recorded whatever I saw walking from my car to my office building. I don't know, I see a lot of cars. The parking lot, I found a spot that's way closer than I parked, and I'm considering if I should walk back to my car and then get that spot. But but then you're like, oh, well, I'm gonna then spend more time walking. Kind of defeats the purpose. But at the same time, it's like that's a close spot. And so I literally would just talk about random things that I saw or see. Now, if it doesn't sound interesting, you wouldn't be alone. And I'm not sure even my mother thinks it's interesting. But what it did was allow me just to test it out and see how it worked. And it worked really well. So I would just record, and then I could actually submit that to Apple. And maybe that would honestly be 10 minutes of work. With essentially what I would have to do is add it to the Apple Store. I would record maybe for about 3 minutes or 5 minutes, and then I would just go ahead and put a description on it with my phone, and then I would say, all right, send and make a podcast. And that was a podcast. It literally would go from that to publish in about 10 minutes of work, and that includes audio recording. And there wasn't planning, so that obviously wasn't there too. So it was a really easy tool to use. So that's one reason I think it's really great. Two, the Anchor app also kind of has its own stations in it that people are using and showing. So it isn't just for creating, it could be for finding. So people can host their stations and you could just subscribe to them. So if you find someone interesting that has a station in the app, you could just follow them and kind of get the catch up of the stories as they go. And it doesn't even have to be an official podcast. Again, what's nice about it is if you just put on your station, but you don't want to make a podcast, it'll be there for 24 hours, and then it'll be not able to be seen by the public after that. What you'll also see when you're using it is the ability to do call-ins is really nice. So you could just give someone your name within the Anchor app, and they could actually just leave you a message. So I actually asked a few of former coworkers and friends to actually kind of do their own walk to misremember, and they did that as well.
I decided to do a Starbucks run. My Starbucks from my school is probably as far as the Starbucks is from Mount Hall. And so I can do that run in the morning, and then I can drive to school, and I just literally have to cross the parking lot, which does not give me much time for organizing or preparing my thoughts. But that's also why I go into work probably about an hour early every day.
I think the most pertinent thing I can tell you is that I'm carrying a bag of leftover deep dish pizza because the universal language of love is a deep dish pizza with sausage. So, looking for a nice balmy day, hovering around 100 degrees today, and we're going to get after it as we make our way.
Yeah, and that was really easy. I just could quickly add it to my station and then make it a podcast. Another thing I also did was I also tried doing the interview, right? So if I want to talk with someone who's an expert in something, I could just call them up using the app, and it will record from when they answer to when they hang up. And so that's something that is also really easy to use. And here's a sample.
I mean, you have a telephone, so most people probably do.
I do, yeah. I'm pretty cutting edge, but
yeah, that's what I hear about you. So I appreciate the test phone call, and you might make an appearance on the next College Radio Ohio podcast.
I can't wait. I appreciate it. I have a laundry list of interview requests, but I'm happy to make time for you.
All right, so I think one thing to think about too whenever you're doing this is you still want to think about the quality of sound, right? So something to consider. You still want to consider your environment. My Walk to Misremember podcast, I didn't really pay attention to any of these, right? Except I didn't pay attention to the environment. It could have been a better, more kind of closed environment to do it in, as well as I probably could have used a better mic. However, it worked. I would definitely at least urge people to use earpods or earphones or whatever that have a microphone on them. And I think that honestly is how a lot of people are going to do it. And it's really easy, especially if you're just trying to disseminate information to people that need to know that information. I highly recommend that. But let's think about how this app or how these podcasts could possibly even be used in your classroom or with students, as well as maybe professional development with your fellow staff members. One good way I could see is if you have your students make a podcast for, say, a course or unit, right? So, meaning you're having a podcast that's all about biology or all about history, time in history, right? Maybe the Reconstruction era. And so what you could do is maybe have those students go through and kind of explain various topics, right? So they're not only creating a script or something that they're going to say or talking points, but then they're actually going to give them and share them to the world, right? So there's another aspect of them not just writing something down for your eyes and your brain, but actually for the greater world. And that could be a really cool way to have students just be able to give their voice and their personality and actually be useful for someone maybe who actually wants to learn about that concept. Or maybe in future semesters or years that those students, then you could just share the podcast with some students as another way to learn that topic. Or maybe you could have them discuss different concepts that are tough to learn in biology and really allow those students to, again, tell them as they know them, and that way students in the future could hear them and just get it from them. Another one that you could do is possibly just have a podcast with student short stories, papers, or poems, right? So especially if you are teaching some sort of writing class and you want to give your students more of a voice and show them that their voice matters, right? You could do a podcast just for a unit, maybe since it's Halloween time, or if it's the holidays, right? You could have them tell a story about that and put those all in one collection and have those all be different podcasts, or maybe multiple stories in one podcast. So you could really choose how you would want to do that. Another example or another idea could be an audio version of a school newspaper, right? So possibly instead of having students only write, they could also give this sort of medium, maybe a recap, or maybe it could be in addition to. Maybe you have a student who wants to just tell the stories or give kind of a, hey, here's what's coming up in the newspaper, you should check it out. So it can almost be a commercial, or it could just be a straight reading of the school newspaper. Maybe it's someone else who wants to serve in that way, who maybe isn't one of the editors or the writers on the newspaper. Another way that podcasts could be used is maybe have students interview community members for a different topic. Maybe it's something to have empathy for a certain area, or if it's family members, right? Or maybe it's you want them to interview a business person to talk about what it is doing business, prepare them for whatever field that they might be interested in, right? So you could actually have students do that. You could do that, right? If you're a faculty member, you could actually interview people like that and bring that into your classroom and try to give students those life experiences and at least hear others talk about those life experiences. You could also have a podcast at your school that deals with issues that are affecting every school in our country, right? So whether it be bullying or having positive behavior or identity and self, right? You could have students and teachers talk about kind of those experiences and how they went through as students, and maybe other students talking about those things and how they are affected by them, right? So you could have this podcast that could just be really just affecting the culture of your school as well. Another good example could be if you just want to recap club meetings and sporting events. For example, maybe you have a club meeting and you just want to kind of have an audio record of it and you just want to give a quick recap and say, okay, in this meeting we did this and this and this and this and this. And this can make it really easy for you to kind of go over kind of what happened the previous meeting and talk about it that way. Or maybe you want to have someone just recap sporting events. Maybe you want to have interviews of players and coaches and have someone say, oh, they did really great today. This person got his first pin. That could be, I guess, bowling or wrestling, right? But they had their first pin, and then so and so. And so a way of kind of not just giving sporting announcements at the morning, the morning announcements, right? But actually kind of letting those live on. Beyond that morning announcement, right? Things could live on more than that. And that could be something that could be really great. And that is something that could be really great for an athletic director or different coaches and, of course, the students. Now, obviously, these are all ways that a podcast could be used in a school to affect a classroom of students. But there's also a lot of ways that you could use these podcasts to affect professional learning or professional development in your school as well, right? And so you could even have one that individual teachers could kind of run and try to say encourage and help other teachers just learn and try new things. One example could be just taking the time to interview various teachers and having them actually just talk about different things that they're doing, right? We all wish as teachers and educators that we could sit in on more classes and watch expert teachers do this. And maybe this is one way to kind of share the stories of what's going on in your classroom. And or maybe you know of a peer that says, oh man, you're doing this really cool unit. Can you tell about this so everyone can hear what you're doing? And maybe other people will be inspired by the methods that you're using. Maybe remember, it's about the pedagogy, right? Not about the technology. So those methods and how those are affecting the individual students in the classroom. So you could really just tell the stories of your school. Perhaps even another thing you could do is just really create that culture of learning, right? Continuing to remind teachers of how great their work is and how it affects their students, right? And so there really are a lot of opportunities that you could give there as well. So a podcast could be a really way to do it. And I hope that you check out maybe Anchor to see if that is one thing you might want to do. So if you want to check out the podcast that I made up just to test it out, it is listed below in the description of this video, or if you're in the Anchor app, you could see it there because you're using it, right? So you could check that out. And you can see how easy it is to actually make a podcast. I really didn't put a lot of work into it. It sounds like I'm bragging about how little of work I'm doing, but really, that's true. But really, I think it's important for you to see that it is not too hard, and it won't take up too much time if you want to get your message across, or have your students get their messages across as well. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I hope you are able to check this out, and we will see you next time at the next College Ready Ohio podcast. For more information about College Ready Ohio, go to collegeready.osu.edu or follow us on Twitter at collegereadyoh.